All right, so this is going to be a good one because if you're spending a lot of time and energy putting together a portfolio because you feel like you need to have a nice, big, robust portfolio in order to get high-paying clients, then this training session is going to save you a ton of time, a ton of sweat, and money because you don't have to have a big portfolio to onboard high-paying clients. And we're going to go over why that is right now. So this is one of those things where if you've been selling like graphic design services or you've been selling any type of visual type of a service, whether it's like business branding, logo identity stuff, website design, even photography, video production, any of those types of services, if you've been selling that kind of stuff, then you don't need then you do need to have a portfolio, and I'm going to tell you about why. But if you're trying to sell high-value WordPress sites to your clients, then the portfolio no longer really matters. And we're going to talk about why that is too. So here's the thing. So I've got a couple of notes here to go over for today's training session. Graphic designers and photographers and videographers and those types of services and those types of professionals, they need portfolios. And the reason they need a portfolio is because the outcome or the result that they're delivering to their clients is the portfolio, right? So the clients will come to their website or look through even like a printed out type of portfolio for oftentimes. But the point is people will come to your site and look at what you can do and see if that's the kind of thing that they want. So for example, if you're going to take wedding pictures, then you can meet with the people that are getting married and you can show them pictures that you've taken before. And if they want pictures that look like the pictures that you're showing them, then you get hired. So the portfolio matters. If you're doing logo design and you can show a portfolio of the different logos you've developed, if the client that you're talking to wants a logo that looks like some of the ones that you've built for your other clients, then you get hired. Same thing with all the things: branding, identity, business cards, any type of visual or graphical type of service. Same thing with videos. If you're trying to sell video making services, video production services, and you can say, hey, here's an example of a video I made, then other people will look at that video and say, yeah, I want you to make a video like that for me. And so the outcome, like the result, like the deliverable that you're offering to your clients is the portfolio, which is why it makes such a big deal. It's very important to have a strong portfolio for those types of jobs. But here's the thing. We double stackers have decided and have really realized that in order to deliver a high value WordPress site, we're not selling those services. Now that doesn't mean we're not doing those services. It means we're not selling those services. And instead what we're doing is we're selling the outcomes of having done those services. So it's a fundamentally different approach to freelancing, and your portfolio does not really matter. So let me tell you why. Why does your portfolio not matter if this is the approach that you're taking to your business? And the reason that it doesn't matter is because you have to ask yourself the question, who cares? Who cares about your portfolio? Like what's kind of bottled up in the portfolio? And one of the things is you, like your services. Like it's like your portfolio is a lot about you. Like what can you do? What have you done? There's a huge focus on you. The other huge focus is on your other clients, like the other types of clients that you've worked with in the past and the type of work you've done with them. But who's not in the portfolio in any way is the client that you're actually trying to onboard, the client you're actually trying to win. So you're talking about you're talking about your other clients, and who doesn't care about either of those things? The client you're trying to win. And so wouldn't it be better if you could focus the attention on your client rather than on you or rather than on your other clients? And so that's one of the things that's the matter with using a portfolio to sell or onboard or to win high-paying clients with the approach that we're going through here in this group. And so let's dive in a little bit further. So in addition to the fact that your portfolio is really focusing on you and your portfolio is focusing on your other clients, why not, instead of that, why not just cut to the chase and start focusing on exactly what your client needs? And so what I'm trying to say with that is that the portfolio is emphasizing the wrong message. The portfolio is emphasizing the message of here's what I can do, here's what I have done, here's my other clients, but it's not focusing on the real thing that's in the client that's in front of you. It's not really focusing on what's in their mind. And what's in their mind is what's in it for me. They want to know if you can help them get the goal that they want for their business. Now, of course, that goal can be different depending on who you're working with. Like if you're working with an author or a life coach or a dietitian or a restaurant or a massage therapist, or a doctor or a dentist or lawyer or landscaper, all of those different types of occupations and all of those different types of business owners have different goals in mind. Do they want phone calls? Do they want more people to come back more often? Do they want to increase the value of the clients that they have? Do they want more clients overall? Do they need more exposure? Do they need to build an audience? All of those different types of things, those are the types of business objectives. But by talking about your portfolio and talking about the other clients that you have, it doesn't really answer the actual question that's on your client's mind, which is, can I get the results that I'm looking for? And so but here's the thing. A lot of times people aren't connecting the dots properly because sometimes even clients will say, can you show me your portfolio? And the reason that they ask that question is because they don't know what else to ask. What else are they supposed to say? And so what that means is they're looking for the portfolio because that's basically all that's ever offered. And so what they have to then do is look at your work, talk to you, see what other kind of work you've done, and then it's up to them to connect the dots to determine whether or not you are actually able to deliver the results that they're looking for. And so rather than doing that and leaving it up to your clients to make that connection and connect the dots for on their own as to whether or not you can deliver, why don't you just do away with all the fluff, cut right to the chase, and make an offer? Make the actual offer that your client is looking for. And that's really the essence to how you win these high-paying clients. And it doesn't make any difference how many websites you've built in the past, how many clients you have. None of that really matters as long as you're able to offer the solution that your client's looking for. So let me give you a real-world example. So this is one of those things that applies not only to what we're doing here with delivering these high-value WordPress sites, but it applies to just life in general. And so here's a perfect example. I like to go windsurfing. Windsurfing is something that I've enjoyed ever since I was a small person. And one of the, sometimes I'll go to the Potomac River and, windsurf around in there. Sometimes I'll go down to like the Outer Banks, the Kitty Hawk area and in North Carolina and go windsurfing there. But one of the problems that I had when I was first kind of getting started out with this was I didn't know how to do a water start. And a water start is one of those things where you're like in the water, like even if it's like up to your neck or even over your head, and you kind of lift the sail up over your head, and then the wind sort of just lifts you up onto the surfboard, and off you go. And it's a relatively effortless sort of a thing because the wind is really doing all the work. So rather than doing that, what I was doing as like a beginner was I was doing, like the basic approach to getting started, which is you stand on the board and it's really wobbly and, sort of sinking a little bit and it's hard to keep your balance. And then you grab this uphaul line and you like literally are fighting the water, you're fighting the wind, and you're like pulling the sail up out of the water, trying to get it back up to the board where you can then grab hold of it and off you go. And it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of energy, and every time you fall off, you have to go through this process, which makes learning even harder because you're falling off a lot when you're learning. And so one of the first things that you want to do is you want to learn how to do a water start. You want to learn how to use the wind, leverage the things that are already, kind of out there, the wind, the water, the flotation of the board, all those different types of things to just get you out of the water so that you can practice more, you can do more, you can go faster and farther. And it's just a fundamentally better approach, but it's hard to learn how to do, especially if you don't really know what you're doing. It's a relatively unintuitive sort of a thing. You kind of have to point your board sort of into the wind, which doesn't really make that much sense. But the overall point is, I was down in Kitty Hawk in the Outer Banks of North Carolina trying to do this thing, and I was uphauling the sail out of the water, and the wind and everything was just fighting against me. And then up comes this guy who's a much more experienced windsurfer than I am, and he says, "Hey, what you need to do is you need to learn how to water start. That's going to save you so much energy. You want me to show you how to do it?" And so then what I said was, "Wait a minute, before you show me how to do it, can you give me a list of all the people that you've helped with this before, and show me like your resume so that I can make sure." I didn't say any of that. Nobody would say that. Of course, I said, absolutely help me with this. Absolutely. You know, right now, show me how to do it. And so he did. And it took like 2 minutes. He said, you know, here's you point the board into the wind, you know, put your sail like this. Here's what you do with your front foot. You kind of kick with your back foot. And the next thing you know, you're off and sailing, and it's fantastic. And so I immediately did it. He immediately solved my problem, and it didn't make any difference at all whether he had been an instructor for the past 20 years or whether he had, you know, taught, you know, 5,000 people how to windsurf, or whether he was the very first time he'd ever mentioned this tip to anybody. I didn't care at all. All I wanted to know how to do was, how do you do a water start? How do you do it? If you can deliver that outcome to me, let's work together on it. And here's another example. I also play the guitar. And one of the things that that's really challenging for guitar players sometimes is to get the notes to ring out clearly, especially if you're playing like a complicated chord, like in your left hand. Like the more complicated the configuration or the notes on your left hand are, the more important this tip is, which is sometimes like you'll tend to close your hand down and there's not a lot of space between, you know, like the tops, like the bottom parts of your fingers and the tops of the strings. And so what happens is you get that really the kind of buzz muted noise from the guitar strings. And so what you do to fix that is you have to sort of roll your hand over so that your fingertips are playing the notes more so than like the meaty part of your finger. And that gives you more space to get, you know, to get more clarity from the notes, and notes that are in between, like open strings that are in between the strings you're pushing down, can ring out more clearly. And it's just a fundamentally better thing. And so I was struggling with this. And just like with the windsurfer example, you know, this guy comes up to me and says, hey, you want to get a little bit more space there for your fingers? You want to see how to do it? And I said, yeah, absolutely. And he said, yeah, just bring the neck of the guitar up a little bit closer to your face, and that's going to put your hand in a better position to play the guitar. This was classical guitar too, by the way. So, you know, the fingering was like a big deal. Like, you know, you play lots of different notes all at the same time. It's not just the rote strumming. That's, you know, kind of like what beginners tend to do. This was more advanced stuff. And that tip of how do you, you know, just bring the neck of the guitar up closer to your face and your hand is in a better position to reach the strings you want, was a huge tip. And again, like, I didn't ask for the guy's, you know, portfolio or any sort of a demo of his playing skills or any of those things. He was able to deliver the exact outcome that I needed to advance my skill set in terms of playing the guitar. And his portfolio made absolutely no difference, because I wasn't after the stuff in his portfolio. I was after the outcome of being able to play the notes more clearly. And so that's what I'm trying to really convey here, because one of these fundamental shifts with the double stack mindset, the program, the way that we approach building high value WordPress sites, which is fundamentally different from what everyone else does, is you don't have to have that portfolio as long as you have the skills and the tools and the systems in place to deliver the outcomes that your clients want. And when you structure your business that way, it saves so much time and energy and everything for everyone involved. It saves you time and money and sweat because you don't have to accept all of these super low projects, you know, low paying projects just for the sake of building up your portfolio. And now you're like working, you know, all hours of the day for like $6 an hour. You don't have to do that. It's not necessary to do those things. It's better for your clients, because now instead of putting it on them to figure out whether or not you're actually the kind of person who can deliver the results that they're looking for, now you're just telling them, here's the results I can deliver for you that you're looking for. And they don't have to do that thing where they're connecting the dots between interviewing you and looking at the stuff that you've done in the past and then trying to figure out if all of that adds up to what they're looking for. You can just go straight and tell them, here's what I think that you should be doing. This is what you're looking for. Let's do this. And so it saves tons of time for them. And then it also saves tons of time for their customers, because now you're actually able to connect them with the customers that they otherwise wouldn't be connecting with if they had just spun up a cheap website that had a couple of pages in the contact form with nobody really driving the boat. You know, nobody's running the system. So, and here's the other thing. So what you really need to be focusing on, rather than, you know, just burning yourself out on cheap projects for the sake of building up a portfolio, what you really need to be doing is focusing on your offer. Like, what is it that you're offering to people? And my strong encouragement is to stop offering technical services and start offering business solutions to your clients. So for example, stop offering things like logo design, brand design, graphic design, even like things like SEO services, those are, don't bother offering those types of things up front, because those things don't really matter. What really matters is the stuff that drives the outcomes for the clients that you're looking for. And here's another critical piece to the puzzle. You don't do it one time. You do it on an ongoing basis. So like, for example, logo design, that's like a one-time thing. You build a logo and you hand it over, now you're done. Business cards, business identity, same thing. You build it, you hand it over, you're done. Web design is oftentimes, hey, Justin, how's it going, man? Web design is often one of these things as well, where you oftentimes clients, WordPress developers will build these websites and you kind of hand it over and then they're done. And maybe they host, maybe they do WordPress maintenance, care package, whatever. But even that is a very just kind of hands-off, low value sort of a thing, and it doesn't drive any business solutions. Like just keeping a website online is something anyone can do anywhere. Wix keeps their websites online. Why is working with you better than working with Wix? If all you're offering is I'll keep your website secure and online, right? So what you need to do is you need to go beyond what everyone else is doing and start delivering packages of services that drive the outcomes that they're looking for. So if you're wondering, what could I put together? Like, what does that look like? What kind of packages could I put together that involve more than just building the website and hosting it somewhere? So that's the kind of thing that we can work together and figure out. So if this is the kind of thing, if you're sitting there thinking, yeah, you know what, it totally makes sense. I don't have to have a portfolio. Why don't I just offer the thing that people want, and we can just cut out all the fluff and go straight to actually helping people? Why don't we do that? Obviously, that makes tremendous sense. It saves everyone tons of time and money and energy. So let's do that. But you feel kind of stuck, wondering, well, I don't really know. I've never really heard of this before. I've never really thought kind of in this way about my business before. What are those packages? What does it look like? How do I put together like monthly packages that drive business outcomes? Well, let's get on the phone together and talk about that. And what we'll do is we'll talk about like what kind of websites do you normally build? Like who do you normally work with? Like or do you focus on any particular industries? What are your past clients like? What kind of leads are you getting now? And what kind of packages could you put together? Like what kind of combination of the tools that you know how to use can you put together to start offering ongoing business development services for the clients that you want to work with? And so, and that's a fundamentally different approach than just building a website, launching it, and doing it again. And what you're going to find is if you do it the way we're talking about here, where you're offering these ongoing high value services, you're going to be getting monthly retainers that are going to be stabilizing your business, scaling your business, because every time you get a new client, you get a raise. Whereas if you're just building, $1,500 sites or $2,000 sites or less, $1,000 sites, $800 sites, you can't build enough of those sites to scale your business into a position where it's really sustaining you in any sort of meaningful way, because you can't launch. Like say, for example, the average price of your website was $1,000. What do you want to say? Say you want to get to like, just even if you just wanted to get to $5,000 per month, that means you're building more than one website every single week. That means you're finding a client more than once a week. And not only just finding it, but you're actually onboarding them, building and launching and deploying their site faster than once a week. It's just, nobody can do that. You can't do that. Even if you try to stagger the time frames for like, when things happen, it's just like, coordinating schedules and all of these other types of things. It's just no single person can launch sites that fast, because there's too much overhead involved. And even if you could launch sites that fast, you're not there helping your client get those business outcomes, because you're too busy finding the next set of clients, just because you have to keep this thing going. And it's really stressful. It's a very time consuming, high stress, unpredictable sort of a thing, and you always end up getting a ton of clients and then no clients, and then during that no client period it's really stressful. And so rather than doing that, why not set up this recurring revenue? And one of the huge things that's missing from basically all of the WordPress ecosystem that I'm seeing right now, especially in terms of any sort of training or coaching or help, is what can you do that goes beyond just a WordPress care plan? And that's what I'm trying to talk about right now, and setting those types of packages up for you and for the types of clients that you're working with. And if you want to get started with that, let's get started with it right now. So hop on over to doublestack.net/call. And that's where you're going to see my personal calendar, where you can pick a time that works for you. After selecting that time, you'll be directed over to a little form. And on that form, you're going to tell me a little bit more about who you are. Like give me a link to your website, just a little bit of background information about the kind of business that you have, the kind of clients you tend to work with. And that way, when we get on the call, we'll have 45 minutes to just dive deep into your business, where you want to get, what your income goals are, how you can start hitting those goals right away. And so again, this is not for everybody. This kind of a call is for the people who see that spinning off, $1,000 sites or cheap one-off sites is not the way they want to go when it comes to scaling their business, because you just can't do that much work. Even if you could, you're not offering a solution that really helps your clients. So if you're the kind of person who wants to transform your business from one of these things where you're kind of just selling services, selling technical service, selling like WordPress services, and you want to transition from being like a WordPress business to like a growth consulting business that powers your results with WordPress and with the skills that you know, that's the kind of person I'm looking to connect with. That's the kind of person that can get these types of results. And if that sounds like you, head over to doublestack.net/call, pick a time, whatever time that works for you. You'll see my personal schedule on there. So you and me specifically will be getting on the phone for 45 minutes talking about these exact things. And then, of course, if you want to continue working with me to really flesh this stuff out, we can talk about that. If you don't want to, that's totally fine too. Whatever the whole point is, why don't we just get on the phone, talk about how things are going with your business, what kind of goals you have, and if there's anything that I can do to help you get there, I will offer it. So there you go, doublestack.net/call. And in the meantime, if you've been busy cranking out cheap sites for your portfolio, don't worry about that. You don't have to do that anymore. If you happen to get sites and you happen to be building up a portfolio, it's not going to hurt things, but take the focus off the portfolio and put the focus right on the client that you want to be working with and getting those clients the kinds of outcomes that they're really looking for. And so, and if that's the kind of thing you want to do, I'd love to help you get there. So head over to doublestack.net/call. We'll talk about it. And in the meantime, if you have any other questions, or if this video or this training session sort of resonated with you, struck any chords, leave some comments down below. I'll be checking that out throughout the week. And so here we are Tuesday. I'll meet up with you guys again Thursday for another session. And until then, high five. Boop. And if you're here checking this video out, put a comment in like Justin did. So I know you're here, and we can keep the conversation going. So awesome, guys. It was great talking to you, and we'll meet together again on Thursday, unless we end up talking on the phone before then. So take care, and another high five till Thursday. Boop. Awesome, guys. Take care.